Hey, I'm Mike TV, the band Get Set Go, and I wanted to kick this episode off with a little mea culpa, because I know that if you've managed to make it to episode 10, this whole Hesitation Cuts adventure has been quite the ride. And when I first started, I had expectations for what this show was going to be, but now at episode 10, I realized I didn't fully realize those expectations, because just like the songs I write, these stories, these episodes, sort of knew what they wanted to be. And it took me a little while to just get out of the way and let them become what they actually wanted to become. And this whole process has been a pretty nutty adventure for me personally. As someone who spends a huge amount of time critically examining his behaviors, his life, his wants and needs, his loves, his responsibilities, things that I often turn into song, I thought I had everything buttoned up. But in the making of this show, it turns out I still have a lot to learn about myself, about the world, about the music I make. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming along for the ride. Let's take the Wayback Machine to about 30 minutes ago when I sat down on my computer here to write the script. I've been contemplating this final episode for months now. And as I sit here, my mind is awash with so much I want to say, because as the show has evolved, as the story has evolved, I've come to realize that the tale I'm telling, it's not an aspirational story, and it's not a cautionary tale. It isn't even an adventure, nor do I even think that this story, that every person that listens to it will come away thinking and feeling the same thing. Which for my money is fucking awesome, right? You know, it's my story, a human story, a story filled with struggle and self-doubt, but also love and inspiration and repeated demonstrations of the sort of magic that is possible if a person gets up each morning with the intention of making magic. And when I started out, I had the intention of just taking the stories I tell in my live streams as I'm introducing a song, and I just wanted to codify those stories, record them and make a perfect rendition of what I've been delivering to my live audiences, both online and on stage for like 20 plus years. And then I thought I would add completely brand new recordings of the songs for each episode so that I could hopefully incentivize the tens of thousands of people that listen to my music on the streaming services each month to perhaps give it a listen and fall in love with the songs all over again. So Hesitation Cuts was born. But as I really began to sink my teeth into what was possible with this format, this blend of one-man show / audiobook / music album / memoir / confessional, all wrapped up and then delivered as a podcast, I sensed that there was an opportunity to do so much more, to make something singular. Over time, I came to envision Hesitation Cuts as sort of a blend of Douglas Copeland and Kurt Vonnegut and Charles Bukowski with a splash of like Gene Reese's Good Morning Midnight, like aggregating all of my favorite first-person authors, the people that gave you a deep look into their day-to-day existence, and then all of that coupled with a soundtrack that, like the very best movies, wasn't so much background music, but instead was a vehicle that propelled the story forward. And it took me a while to figure out how to do that, And for the first few episodes, I sort of floundered. I mean, they're really fun, but I think it took me until episode 4, The Heart and the Head, before I figured out how to tell the story that I wanted. The story that the actual tale itself and the music, all the songs, were demanding be told. And because there really is no precedent, I don't think there is any person doing what I'm doing. And why would they? Because there's no money in it. It's an insane enterprise. But because there is no precedent, I don't have a template I can follow or other artists I can listen to that have led the way. I'm in the weeds, hacking away, blazing my own trail for better or for worse. And as I am wont to do, when I feel like I don't know exactly where I'm going artistically, I usually just go honest and vulnerable and as naked as I can make myself. I expose my thoughts and my emotional core in ways that make me feel uncomfortable, ways that feel way, 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 way too revealing. And then I turn those thoughts and those feelings and that exposure into songs. And now with this program, I was leaving the realm of simply music and now adding an even more intimate way of conveying my thoughts. Just my words, my thoughts, and you. And it's really interesting to think about, because if these episodes, if Hesitation Cuts had become an overnight viral sensation, like by episode 3, I was suddenly just huge, I'm 100% certain that I would have been writing this episode with way more confidence, period. Like, let's say I had a whole slew of rock star friends that really wanted me to succeed with this podcast. So they just promoted the crap out of it, and bam, in a few episodes, I had 1 million people listening. Like, I didn't change a thing. It's the exact episodes as they exist now, but wham, large audience. And I can imagine that, right? I don't think this show is amateur hour. I think musically, story-wise, it's a pretty interesting listen. And it's unique. So I don't think it would surprise anyone if suddenly there were 1 million listeners. And if that happened, if I was getting lauded and celebrated and people were like, wow, Hesitation Cuts is so real and honest and fun and funny and crazy intense and man, what a powerful experience. I love listening over and over. Like, if that happened on a large scale, it would definitely have changed what I'm writing right now. And I would be coming at this episode from a completely different experience and a completely different perspective. And I say that because that actually happened to me. With Get Set Go's exposure on Grey's Anatomy for a full decade, just like wham, a Get Set Go song is being heard by 50 million people. Wham, again, 50 million people. And again, and again, and again, umpteen times. So I have this perverse expectation that a repeat of that experience is just around the corner. Like, I just have to puzzle out the puzzle pieces and ding, 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 I'm back on top. But that hasn't happened. And I've been working on this project since May, and I've put in a huge amount of effort. 50 fully produced, fully arranged song recordings, 10 episodes, hours and hours of story and song. I mean, months of contemplating how I want to best reflect each individual episode, you know? So here I am telling a very human story about a person that is deeply flawed, crippled by self-doubt, haunted by regret, and yet still climbs out of bed in the morning, ready to make magic. Not because the world is clamoring for it, even though, on a side note, I do have to brag that there are 88 people in the world that listen to Get Set Go on Spotify more than any other band in 2022. My crucial 88. And I am figuring that, you know, there's probably more people on the other streaming services. So what, maybe 100, 120? But you get what I'm saying? I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and my success has been spotty enough that I always exist in a weird limbo. Like, does what I do matter? And I often fantasize about just disappearing, putting down the very heavy load that is my music career, finding joy in a simple life, finding a low-impact job that I can excel at easily, and just live for my family and for simple pleasure, you know? Just leaving the fucking struggle behind.
Didn't get to know you, but I wish I got to know you. Oh, hello, goodbye. Oh, my days, they gave me sorrow, so I won't be here tomorrow. I must go on my way. I'm gonna disappear today, but I'll keep you here inside of me, tucked up against my misery. A hurt that never seems to heal, a wound that I will always feel. I'll keep you here inside my heart, where you can tug and tear apart the bits and pieces of my me, so you can keep on listening. Hello.
So Webster's Dictionary defines misery as a state of suffering and want that is the result of poverty or affliction. Now, I'm not impoverished, but can I afford healthcare? Can I buy a car? Can I go on a vacation? Can I do the things that other people seem to do so effortlessly? And the answer is no. And that just seems so unfair. I mean, I work hard. So what gives?
Oh, hello, goodbye. I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, I know I didn't matter. Oh, hello, goodbye. If I could have done it better, oh, I would have done it better. I must go on my way. I'm gonna disappear today, but I'll keep you here inside of me, tucked up against my misery. A hurt that never seems to heal, a wound that I will always feel. I'll keep you here inside my heart, where you can tug and tear apart the bits and pieces of my me, so you can keep on listening. Oh, oh, ooh, I can't keep on keeping all this way. Something's gotta happen, something's gotta change. I can't keep on keeping on this way. Oh, oh, ooh.
So because something does have to change, Hesitation Cuts is my attempt to change my story. Or if not change it, capture in such perfect detail that even if I go down in flames, those flames are caught in full Technicolor glory, complete with unbearable heat, dripping sweat, singed eyebrows. I mean, something real, not entertainment. My goal is not to entertain. My goal is to make art.
Oh, hello, goodbye. Oh, there's nothing that I wanna say, and no one's listening anyway. Hello, goodbye. Oh, there's nothing I can say for sure, and no one's listening anymore. And so I'm on my way. I'm gonna disappear today, but I'll keep you here inside of me, tucked up against my misery. A hurt that never seems to heal, a wound that I will always feel. I'll keep you here inside my heart, where you can tug and tear apart the bits and pieces of my me, so you can keep on listening.
Hey, I'm Mike TV, and this is Hesitation Cuts Episode 10, the season finale. And for those of you who have been hit repeatedly on the head, this is the show where we slide down the slipperiest of slopes, deep into the jaws of danger, desire, dreams, despair, and all other interesting words that start with D. In this episode, we reflect on what this show has become. Why Hesitation Cuts? Why the name Hesitation Cuts? Why does any of this matter? Does it matter? And for at least one of us, the answer is yes, it very much does. As soon as I completed my first recorded draft of the first episode of this show, I asked a handful of my podcasting friends to please listen and give me feedback. So Tom Merritt, the host of the Daily Tech News Show, had a really salient comment about paying attention to what I was setting up emotionally and making sure that there were cues to let the audience know what to expect. But like particularly when I take a sharp turn, as I did in the very first episode with the butterfly story, which is why I haven't repeated that sort of stunt and instead try to find a way to make the music and the story intersect in a way that it's surprising but also feels like it belongs. I don't try to do those wicked left and right jags in the story, you know? Like it feels like a natural step. And I think I've gotten better at this. I mean, really, truthfully, you would be the best judge of this, but I do think it's going to keep getting better. I think I've gotten better, and I think it's just going to keep getting better the more stories I tell and the more songs I weave into those stories. So that was Tom. And then my buddy Andrew Heaton, the host of Political Orphanage, said very encouraging things about how the episode that he listened to felt like he was hanging around at a campfire with a friend, telling stories and singing songs. And that was very much on point with what I was trying to do. You know, I want this show more than anything to feel like we're friends, even if we've never met. Like you and I have an intimate, honest, earnest conversation about life, about the vicissitudes and victories, large and small, that is our everyday. But my buddy Justin Robert Young, the host of Politics, 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 gave me perhaps the most substantive advice First, he recounted something that our mutual friend, magician and podcaster Brian Brushwood suggested to him when Justin was launching his first podcast. And Brian said that you always want to let your audience know what to expect. At the very beginning of the episode, tell them exactly where you're going to be taking them, so they know right at the gate what they're signing up for. Which is exactly why I start off each episode with, hey, I'm Mike TV of Get Set Go, and this is blah, blah, blah. And Justin also had, and this suggestion had a huge impact on my show. But Justin said to me something to the effect of, Mike, you actually make the music. You should adjust the recordings to make room for spoken word. Like, let the podcast and the songs integrate. Ferris Bueller that shit. Because, like, pause the song midway for mid-song comment. And I was like, facepalm, duh. You're absolutely right. Like, that's so obvious. How did I miss that? And it was this suggestion, the more I contemplated it, that got me thinking about how best to hand off the baton between the spoken word and the song. Like, was it possible to add more power to the story by the playing of the songs? Could I add nuance? Could I throw in little emotional Easter eggs so that the more someone listened, the better they knew my story, my music, the more they got out of each repeated listen? Could I elevate the story with the song and then elevate the song with the spoken word? Could I make the whole thing greater than the sum of its parts? And so that's what I've been trying to do. But then Justin went on to explain that people that listen to podcasts are often multitasking as they listen. They're working, they're cleaning, they're exercising, they're doing something that perhaps doesn't require their full attention. But at the same time, the podcast is also not receiving 100% of their attention. So saying what you mean, clearly elucidating your perspective, that's what I really should strive to do for a strong podcast. Like, subtext is not a regular feature in successful podcasts. And I want to talk about that in just a bit. But the last significant contribution in regards to the shape of the show came from my supremely talented musician friend, Brendan Milburn, when after listening to an early episode, he was like, Mike, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and the ones I enjoy the most usually have an episode summation, like, this is what we learned, at the end of every episode. To which I responded, oh yeah, that's perfect. You're absolutely right. I should sum up after each episode. I should be like, hey, this is the takeaway, And it was from these conversations that I was able to jumpstart this fledgling show that you're listening to right now, because it gave me the architecture of the actual episode. Introduction, cold open, main title, first bit, second bit, third bit, episode summation, just like verse, chorus, bridge, big chorus, or verse, chorus again. It just felt like a song. And just like music, once I knew the shape, it was just a matter of putting in the work. Starting with the first bit, which leads to the second bit, which, believe it or not, leads to the third. And you just keep rinsing and repeating until it's done. So I had the shape of my episodes figured out. And because I'd been performing these songs and these stories on stage for years, I thought I had the bulk of the content figured out as well. But turns out that once I started to understand the medium, the more I did it, it presented all sorts of really exciting possibilities. And unfortunately, most of the possibilities that I identified, in order to be fully appreciated, I would have to employ subtext and nuanced storytelling. And I was compelled to drop in these little Easter eggs. And then, of course, there were going to be callbacks and homages. And the deeper I got into it, the messier things became. But I really want to give my listener a hearty enough meal that perhaps it can't be eaten all in one go. Perhaps it needs to be digested over time, or revisited, or split into 3 meals, or stuck in the fridge and then turned into soup a few days later, to flog a metaphor until it's good and truly flogged. But, as I worked on these episodes, the realization dawned that I'm treating this podcast like a musical novel. Like the way graphic novels are a hybrid of traditional novel and comic book. Hesitation Cuts is a hybrid of novel and music album. And just like graphic novels, the combination of words and art becomes something magical and new. Their integration elevates them both. They become something more. And I can't say that that's what I've achieved with Hesitation Cuts, but it's my intention. It's what I'm trying to do. And so if I'm trying to create a musical novel, what sort of story am I trying to tell, right? I am certain there must be a handful of celebrated novelists who started out a book just by sitting down and writing. But I'm 100% certain that most authors begin with an idea of the story they want to tell. And if you really think about it, all human stories, or rather, actually, our stories, our personal stories as people, like you and me, our stories are truly coming-of-age stories, right? They feature way more internal monologue than action. And I mean, I've led an action-packed life, and still, it's mostly internal monologues with the occasional dialogue with myself, a la the Heart in the Head episode, you know. So our stories are mostly internal soliloquies or internal monologues or internal dialogues, which is a big hallmark of coming of age stories. And also, we are always finding our place in the world, you know, and then we're redefining our place in the world because the world is always changing. This ever-evolving, callous, cruel, beautiful, lovely, lovable world filled with like insouciant villains and fragile egos and children masquerading as adults, rich people celebrated simply because they're wealthy. I mean, this is a crazy, weird, unexpected place, this world, right? So here I am, making music, capturing my experience in song, and trading on those experiences to pay my bills. And as the years pass, and as I find myself, for the most part, just staying in the same place, running with all my might, scrambling and working and sweating and striving, only to remain exactly where I was the year previous, I start to feel like maybe I'm on some sort of fucking hamster wheel. And certainly it is frustrating. And I grouse. I have never been a stoic sufferer of outrageous fortune. I grouse and I moan and I bitch and I write angry, frustrated, bitchy songs about how shitty my outrageous fortune is, you know? But I don't internalize the chaos much. I write a song about how hard life is, and then I go back to work, and life moves on. And even though my story is unique, my circumstances are not. I'm not alone in this. There are probably millions of other people that also feel like they're just as stuck. Like no matter what they do, no matter how hard they work, no matter how diligent or careful or fastidious they are, nothing changes. The hamster runs, the wheel spins, no progress is made. So the one thing I can do for all of my fellow hamsters is I can write songs, man. Songs about the struggle, about the wheel, about the cage. I can write about the bills that just keep showing up, the debt that devours any extra cash you make, the labor that only leads to more labor. But now with this show, with Hesitation Cuts, not only can I write the songs, I can also put them to work.
I wanna punch you in the face just to see you bleed from the nose. Some people say I have unresolved issues, I suppose, but I don't know. I just wanna see the blood flow. I wanna drive my car off a cliff just to see if I can fly. Maybe physics will ignore me just this single time. Oh, I'd like to fly, and I can't decide. Is it worth a try? All I know is the air is getting stale. Oh, I cannot breathe, no, I cannot breathe. Will you breathe for me? All I know is these words are old and tired. Let's set them on fire. Do you have a light? I don't have a light. I could use some help setting these words on fire.
When I wrote this song, I was trying to capture the same emotional friction that I felt when I read A Catcher in the Rye or Ask the Dusk or Hunger. It's obvious something is wrong. This place doesn't feel right. But if you're one of the powerless, all you can really change is what's going on inside of you, in your heart, in your head.
I wanna spend one full year screaming at the top of my lungs. If I could spend one full year screaming, I would finally be done. The song would be sung, and I'll have just begun. All I know is the air is getting stale. Oh, I cannot breathe, no, I cannot breathe. Will you breathe for me? All I know is these words are old and tired. Let's set them on fire. Do you have a light? I don't have a light. I could use some help setting these words on fire.
So as I was saying earlier in the episode, if Hesitation Cuts was a huge success right out the gate, then this episode would be very different. I'd be coming from a very different place, but I like where I am now. I like who I am now. And I also very much like the story I have to tell. So, mixed blessings, right? I have no idea why my music isn't fucking huge. Like, why don't I sell 1 million copies of every album? When I listen to my songs, even the ones that struggle to deliver on their promise because I just wasn't musician enough to play them well at the time that they were recorded, even those songs to me still feel like $1 million song, Like, I listen to Big Star and Cheap Trick and the Kinks and the Rolling Stones and I think, why not me? Maybe I don't sell as many records as them, but my stuff's catchy and lyrically interesting and sonically distinct. So what is it that's not connecting, right? And then I listen to Bright Eyes and The Shins and Neutral Milk Hotel and Sparkle Horse, and I feel the same way. Like, okay, maybe my music isn't going to do as well as these amazing bands that I love, but it's still in the same ballpark. I know some people have fallen in love with my music in the way that I fell in love with these bands. So why the struggle? Why do I always feel like my audience is just about to disappear forever? And then I listen to, let me just say, I mostly stopped listening. I just got busy making my own music because I started encountering music that I felt like it was less considered than it could have been, that it had no nuance whatsoever, that it was the opposite of daring or the antithesis of vulnerable and human and true. It was calculation and conceit, artifice, and just lacking a sense of realness that is so critical for me. And this was the music that the whole world was celebrating. And I look, hold on, this is hard. Look, all musicians are my people. All musicians are getting taken advantage of by the music business. They're my people. They're probably doing the best they can. Me saying that their music is thoughtless and filled with fluff and audio chicanery instead of actual significant musicianship is irresponsible and unfair. But that was my first impression. That was my first thoughts. Maybe I'm a disgruntled old man, but it just felt disingenuous, and it led me to certainly question whether or not I still had a seat at the table. And I really vacillated on whether or not to expose this intense insecurity and this judginess and all of the things that make me human, but also not a paragon of rock and roll virtue. Because when I first conceived of the show, I was like, I will make the perfect sales pitch for each song. I'll use my facility with words and my understanding of story to create little commercials. And they'll be undeniable. And people will listen to the podcast and fall in love and immediately sign up for whatever it is I'm promoting. And then they'll be lifelong fans forever and ever. And hell yeah, what an amazing business model, right? Like, why am I not doing that? And I started to. The first few episodes were made with that perspective in mind. But very quickly I realized I just couldn't do it. Yes, my music is catchy. It is fun. It can be silly, sometimes laugh out loud funny. It can be rocking and defiant and furious, but mostly it is dark. Mostly it's therapy. I take the worst of me and I turn it into song. I make it pretty and beautiful, and suddenly something in me that was abhorrent and shameful, fearful and broken becomes something magical. It becomes relatable and human and not so terrible. Not nearly as terrible as it is when it sits lurking and festering in my heart. And that darkness, man, I can't escape it. It's crazy. It lives in me. And if I didn't have music as a way to purge it from living in my heart alone, I don't think I would be on this planet. Every time I disconnect myself from music, stop making music, walk away from music as my life's purpose, I go nuts. I hurt myself.
I kill myself almost every night just so I can watch somebody die. Hurting other people just ain't my scene, but killing myself is quite easy. I sabotage like an enemy spy, hiding with the natives till the time is right. The damage I do is beyond compare, and then I disappear like I wasn't there. And so it goes. The bombs explode, there goes my life. Alright, my wasted time. Here I go again, straight for the kill. Better drink my poison, gotta drink my fill. I'm tougher than a look, I gotta work all night if I wanna kill myself tonight. And so it goes, calling the crows to eat my fresh dead eyes. It's no surprise I've given up, I've broken down, and my heart is giving out. I'm giving up, won't try no more. What's my heart still beating for? My heart. I hurt myself almost every day, but in little ways, so I can't complain. Little wounds are left to bleed, soon there won't be much left of me. Sabotage is only one of my skills. I also use poisons, hidden daggers and pills. I'm quite good at hurting myself, but sometimes I also hurt somebody else. And so it goes, nobody knows the pain I bring to me. Why can't they see I've given up, I've broken down, and my heart is giving out. I'm giving up, won't try no more. What's my heart still beating for? My heart. I know it's draconian to say I want to die, but the struggle can just suck it. Fuck the struggle, motherfuck it. I'm so sick, don't wanna fight. My heart. I kill myself almost every night just so I can watch somebody die. Hurting other people just ain't my scene, but killing myself is quite easy. And so it goes, the bombs explode, there goes my life. Alright, my wasted time.
So that's the thing. Each song I write, it's not me per se. Each song is just one puzzle piece. To know me through my music, you have to listen to my entire oeuvre. Otherwise, your picture is incomplete. And really, truthfully, even so, even if you do listen to every song I've ever written, you're still going to get a skewed picture of who I am, because I don't need music when my life is wonderful. I mean, I can still write music, and a lot of music, when I don't need to worry about money and life feels stable and secure, and I'm in love and life is going grand. But even so, during those periods, few and far between though they might be, I still, when I'm writing a song, I just often reflect on and mine the perspectives that I had during my more troubled periods. Because, damn it, music is a direct link to our emotional cores. And if a song doesn't make you feel something, why are you listening to that song, right? Songs that don't make you feel are exactly like fast food. They fill you up with empty calories and make it difficult to distinguish good food from bad. So each song is not me. But each song is as true and as honest a reflection of my thoughts and feelings as I can make them. And they span a wide range of my emotional spectrum. But again, not the whole thing. There are many positive and wonderful emotions that I just don't write songs about, because when I'm feeling them, I'm busy feeling them. And when I try to write about them, they always seem to fall flat. Like there's a reason why Walking on Sunshine is basically one of the rare major hits that expresses such a degree of jubilant excitement, right? It's a tough thing to write songs about being joyful without feeling disingenuous and or saccharine. Although now that I've just said this, I'm actually considering exactly how I would tackle it. And perhaps in season 2, I'll do an episode on feeling good. And I'll write songs about all of the positive emotions, all except love, because that one's been done a bunch. But I'll try to write 5 songs as a challenge. Oh, in fact, now would be a good time to mention that I plan on writing new music specifically for episodes in season 2 and in every subsequent season. Probably not 5 songs an episode. I mean, I do have a playable oeuvre of 500 songs that could always use a little dusting off, but I'll probably write at least 1 or 2 songs for each episode. I think that'll make the show better, for me to figure out the story and then write a song that inserts perfectly, you know? And I also intend to do 10 seasons because I think 100 episodes is a good round number. And I think, for better or for worse, I'd like to capture a full decade of making music, struggling to be heard, putting out records, touring the planet, and all the things that a working musician does documented in song and story. So 9 more years of this. Pretty exciting, right? But all right, I digress. I think what I'm trying to say is that I have no wisdom to offer. I have no shortcuts. I'm not going to outline a strategy for how to better your creativity or manage your projects or like anything like that. I am a train wreck of a human being that just loves to write and record songs and to tell stories and be in love and play with his dogs and do simple human things, you know? And I think in this vast universe of entertainment and story, there might be room for a simple document of a struggling musician trying to find his way in the world and keep his family fed while doing it, right? And that's Hesitation Cuts. And the fact that you're here listening to this right now, fucking priceless. I mean, yes, a little money goes a really, really long way. But truthfully, if I have to choose between the two, money or being heard, I'd prefer the stories and songs to be heard.
I ain't got much, but I'm willing to share. Baby, don't be scared. We don't need money. Don't you look at me like that, 'cause you know it's a fact. We will never go hungry. I will write a song that we can trade for all the things we need. Don't you like the way this song makes you feel? Does it hit you in the heart and make you wanna cry? From the very start, I only wanna write songs that move you. Oh, sometimes you have to hurt. Oh, before you show them what you're worth. And the days, they cut so deep in the fear, it's killing me. But if you don't believe, pain.
Yeah, right? Like, all I really want is for you to believe that my music delivers as much magic as I think it does. But at the same time, there are people that listen to my music more than any other band. So, mission accomplished, right? But no, of course not, because I'm a fucking crazy person, apparently. Like, can I just get a little work, life, money, effort, balance? Please? Please? For fuck's sake, please?
I know I'm hard to love sometimes, baby, it's alright. I can drive you crazy. I've done so many stupid things. If I sang about them, I would always be singing. But I will write a song that you can sing when you are feeling low. I will write a song for you, 1,000 songs, and they'll hit you in the heart and make you wanna cry. From the very start, I only wanna write songs that move you. Oh, sometimes you have to hurt. Oh, before you show them what you're worth. And the days, they cut so deep in the fear, it's killing me. But if you don't believe,
And so I just take all the chaos and I turn it into song. I give it to the world, and when I hear back from someone that says, "Thank you, I needed that song," I know in my heart of hearts that I'm not alone, that I speak for people just like others have spoken for me. So now for the big reveal. Hesitation cuts. You know, the term that the show is named for. For those that don't know, they are wounds that are self-inflicted by people that are right on the razor's edge of killing themselves. They're contemplating suicide. They're contemplating ending the pain. But really, for me, when I have felt so despondent as to have suicidal ideation, it's been more than just emotional or physical pain. It's the whole enchilada. It's that feeling like your life is heading deeper into ruin and you have no way to change course. It's the thousands of regrets that just scream at you as you try to sleep at night. You feel hopeless, utterly devoid of hope. And so hesitation cuts are really cries for help, because anyone that really wanted to kill themselves would. But a hesitation cut is a desperate person's way of saying, "Hey, I am at the end of my rope. See me, hear me, heed me. If I'm ignored, I will go, and I will go forever." But records also have cuts. A cut is a track of an album, right? Like DJs used to say, "Hey, let's listen to this new cut by so-and-so." At least they did when I was a kid, listening to my Radio Shack crystal radio as I was drifting off to sleep at night. And so without a lot of deep cogitation, it's easy to draw the connection that a hesitation cut could also be a song that perhaps the person that made it isn't quite certain he wants the world to hear. You know, perhaps it reveals too much, or he thinks it's not ready, or he thinks it's too simple, or too amateurish, or derivative, or clumsy, or vitriolic, or hyperbolic, or a million other adjectives that dissuade an artist from giving his or her art to the world. So in classic Get Set Go fashion, the title Hesitation Cuts is a double, and if you really think about it, a triple entendre. So right at the gate, this show is declaring to a potential listener, if they're in the know, that this show is going to be chock full of things that it'll be tough to really get if you're listening while doing other stuff. There's going to be all sorts of hidden Easter eggs, homages, landmines, and hidden pit traps. And this is intentional. You know, Hesitation Cuts is the perfect Get Set Go-ish. The perfect Get Set Go-ish title, because it blends the very dark with the pointedly clever and tucks a whole bunch of hidden meaning into it, which, for my money, is the hallmark of Get Set Go music. Dark, clever, hidden meaning. And I can't fully walk away from my proclivities for writing songs about self-destruction, self-harm, self-loathing, all of the darker, seedier neighborhoods that exist in my mental landscape, because I grew up loving punk rock, man. I grew up reading Charles Bukowski. I like the idea of setting yourself on fire and riding off a cliff while screaming a barbaric yop, because that's control. In a world where I am powerless, I feel powerless, and what tiny power I do have is constantly threatened and shrinking. You know, the one thing I can control, for a greater or lesser value of control, is me, right? I can, if I wanted to, I could just go to the Texas State Capitol, which is just a couple miles down the street from me, and I could douse myself in gasoline and write in big letters with some chalk the words Get Set Go, and then light myself on fire, you know, like as a promotional stunt. You know, if the fire in my belly can't get their attention, maybe lighting myself on fire might. Which, of course, I would never do, but it's fun to think about. It's fun to live in that world for a little while, to say, fuck it, I do what I want, adios, motherfuckers. You know, I don't have to live there. In fact, I know I can't live there, but with music, I can visit. I can be there, I can feel it, I can live it, I can own it, and then 3 minutes later, I can be right back at home, safe and sound. Hell yeah.
Baby, 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 oh, we're lazy, 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 and we're feeling fucking fucking crazy, 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 crazy. Gonna buy ourselves a gun, gonna stick it in our mouths. We're gonna suck the barrel dry, gonna suck the dead out. We don't need no fucking bullets to knock ourselves around. We got the sound, we got the motherfucking sound. We got the motherfucking sound. We got the motherfucking sound. Like we fuck nobody else. We've been faking, breaking, naked. We've been taking. We've been laying on the hurt. Oh, you know they want the dirt. We're gonna savor all the flavor. We'll live in this behavior, knock it out. We got the motherfucking sound. We got the motherfucking sound. We got the motherfucking sound. Shit to me, cause baby we can say we got the sound. Everything they need, everything they need, everything they want is just nothing to me, nothing you see, it's all they got. We got the motherfucking sound. Razors become lasers, and still we got ourselves just like we cut nobody else. Our blood is bleeding dry as we dance into the night. We're gonna tear the city down as we know we're bleeding out. Never mind the wounds, never mind the hurt, black it out. We got the motherfucking sound. We got the motherfucking sound. We got the motherfucking sound. We got the motherfucking sound.
So, so that's the end of season 1. And boy, what a crazy adventure. Thank you so much for coming along for the ride. And like I said, my plan is to do 10 seasons. So over the next decade, 100 episodes. I can't say it's going to be a success story. I can't say it's going to end in flames, but I can promise you 100% with no equivocation that it will be a human story, a story told with all of the skill and magic that I have at my command. Certainly there are better musicians, and there are better storytellers, and better songwriters, and better speakers, but no one, at least for now, as far as I know, is doing this, mixing story and songs, original recordings into a big jambalaya, a menudo that hopefully, as the story builds, only gets tastier, more filling, and more nutritious. And no matter where it ends up. And that's a great thing. The ending, for me, will be a surprise. We're in this together. So thank you, 1,000 times thank you for listening. It means the world to me. So be well, eat your veggies, live forever.